They say love fades with time, that passion becomes routine, that forever is just a word we use when we're young and foolish. They're wrong. I'm 72 years old now, and Sarah is 71. And I can tell you with absolute certainty that love doesn't fade, it transforms. It deepens. It becomes something so woven into the fabric of your life that you can't tell where you end and it begins. 30 years ago, I met a woman in a grocery store who would change everything. This is our story, the real one, with all its beauty and all its scars. I remember the exact moment I saw her. Aisle 7, reaching for a box of tea on the top shelf, her silver-streaked hair catching the fluorescent light. We were both in our 40s then, both carrying the weight of lives already lived, failed marriages, grown children, dreams we'd tucked away in drawers like old photographs. Need help? I asked, and when she turned, her green eyes met mine with such directness that I forgot to breathe. "I've got it," she said, but she smiled. And that smile undid something in me. I didn't know was still wound-tight. We talked in that aisle for 20 minutes. About tea, about the weather, about nothing and everything. When she wrote her number on the back of a receipt, my hands shook as I took it. I was 43 years old and had never felt this way about a woman before. I'd spent decades pushing down feelings I didn't have names for. Loving my ex-husband in the way you love a good friend, raising my daughter, playing the role I thought I was supposed to play. That night, I didn't sleep. I sat at my kitchen table, that receipt in front of me, and something inside me whispered, "This is it. This is what you've been waiting for." I called her the next morning. We met for coffee that afternoon. We talked until the cafe closed, until the staff started stacking chairs around us. Sarah told me about her divorce, about coming out at 35, about the loneliness of living authentically in a world that still looked at her sideways. I told her about the emptiness in my marriage, about the dreams I'd had as a young girl that I'd convinced myself were just phases. Just confusion. "I think I've been waiting for you my whole life," I said, and immediately felt foolish. Sarah reached across the table and took my hand. "I know you have," she said. "I have too." Within 3 months, I'd moved into her small apartment. My daughter was in college, my ex-husband had already moved on, and I was finally moving towards something instead of away. Those early days were incandescent. We were middle-aged women discovering love for the first time, real love. The kind that made your soul sing. We stayed up all night talking, learning each other's bodies with the wonder of teenagers and the skill of experience. We built a life from scratch, just the two of us, and it felt like coming home. The honeymoon phase doesn't last forever, and ours faded around year 7. That's when the real work began, and when I learned what love actually means. Sarah's mother got sick. Alzheimer's, cruel and relentless. For 3 years, we watched this vibrant woman disappear piece by piece. Sarah became someone I barely recognized, exhausted, short-tempered, drowning in grief even while her mother still breathed. I wanted to help, but Sarah pushed me away. She'd grown up in a generation that believed you carried your burdens alone, that asking for help was weakness. We fought. God, how we fought. Screaming matches that left us both hoarse and hollow. I slept in the guest room for 2 months. I thought about leaving. I packed a bag twice, stood at the door with my keys in my hand, ready to walk away from the pain, but I didn't. Because love isn't just the easy moments, it's the choice you make when everything hurts. I unpacked that bag, walked back into our bedroom and said, "I'm not going anywhere. You're stuck with me. Now let me help you." Sarah broke down in my arms that night and we started over. We went to therapy, both couples counseling and individual sessions. We learned to communicate, to ask for what we needed, to accept help. When her mother finally passed, Sarah grieved, and I held her through it. I learned that sometimes love is just showing up day after day, even when you don't have the right words. Those middle years taught us resilience. We survived Sarah's mother's death, my own health scare with breast cancer at 55, the economic crash that nearly took our small business. We learned to weather storms together instead of separately. We learned that love is built in the trenches, not just in the sunshine. By year 15, we'd become a unit. We finished each other's sentences. We moved through our home in synchronized rhythms. We'd built something solid, something that could withstand the weight of real life. Year 22 brought our darkest moment. Sarah had an affair. I found out by accident a text message that popped up on her phone while she was in the shower. Last night was amazing. When can I see you again? From someone named Alex. My world shattered. 22 years of trust, of partnership, of us, and she'd thrown it away for what? Excitement? Novelty? Had I become so boring, so predictable, that she needed to look elsewhere? When I confronted her, she didn't deny it. She sat at her kitchen table, the same table where we'd shared thousands of meals, and told me the truth. It had been going on for 3 months. A woman she'd met at a conference. It was over now, she said. It had meant nothing, she said, but it meant everything to me. I moved out that day, went to stay with my daughter. For weeks, I couldn't eat, couldn't sleep. I was 65 years old, and my heart was broken in a way I didn't think possible. I'd survived so much, but this felt UNCURVIVABL. Sarah called every day. She wrote letters, sent flowers, showed up at my daughter's house, and sat on the porch for hours, waiting for me to talk to her. She started therapy immediately. She gave me full access to her phone, her email, her life. She was transparent in ways she'd never been before. But I was angry, furious, betrayed. For months, I refused to see her dot. It was my daughter who finally broke through my rage. "Mom," she said one night, "I've watched you two love each other for over 20 years. I've seen how you look at each other, how you take care of each other. She made a terrible mistake, but are you really going to throw away everything because of one mistake? Is that what you want?" I didn't know what I wanted, but I knew what I didn't want. I didn't want to lose her. Not completely. Not forever. We started meeting for coffee. Neutral ground, public places, short conversations. Sarah didn't make excuses. She owned her mistake fully. She'd felt invisible, she said. We'd gotten so comfortable with each other that she'd stopped feeling seen. It wasn't an excuse, just an explanation. Healing took 3 years. 3 years of rebuilding trust, of learning to be vulnerable again, of choosing each other every single day. We went to counseling weekly. We dated again, actual dates, where we dressed up and tried to see each other with fresh eyes. We learned to communicate not just when things were bad, but constantly checking in, staying connected. I moved back home on our 25th anniversary. Sarah had renovated our bedroom, painted it my favorite color, filled it with photographs of us through the years, young and hopeful, middle-aged and strong, older and wiser. "I want you to know," she said, "that every version of us matters. Every year, every moment. I'm sorry I forgot that. These last 5 years have been the best of our lives. We appreciate each other now in ways we didn't before. We don't take anything for granted. We say, 'I love you' multiple times a day. We hold hands while we watch TV. We still have date nights, still surprise each other, still work at this every single day. Sarah has arthritis now, and I have high blood pressure. We move slower, tire more easily. We've buried friends, celebrated grandchildren, watched the world change in ways we never imagined. We've seen laws passed that finally recognize our marriage, that give us rights we fought for decades to have. Last week, we were sitting on our porch, watching the sunset, And Sarah turned to me and said, "Would you do it all again? All of it, the good and the bad?" I didn't hesitate. "Every single moment," I said. "It brought me here to this porch with you, because that's what 30 years teaches you. Love isn't perfect. It's messy and complicated, and sometimes it breaks your heart. But if you choose it, if you fight for it, if you show up even when it's hard, it stays. It transforms. It becomes the story of your life. 30 years. 10,950 days of waking up next to the same person. Of building a life from nothing but hope and determination. Of surviving everything life threw at us and coming out stronger. If you're reading this and you're afraid to love, afraid to commit, afraid that forever is too long, don't be. Forever isn't too long. It's exactly right. It's where the real magic happens. Your story is waiting to be written. What will yours say? If this story touched your heart, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Love in all its forms deserves to be celebrated.